So consistency is going to simplify your life. It's going to streamline your business. It's going to fill your pipeline with sales. You're going to eventually stop kind of wondering like, all right, well, it's Monday. What do I do on Mondays? You're going to develop a routine. Okay, just think about for the moms on the call, dads on the call, parents on the call. Kids crave routines. Like if you let your kid just run around and do everything, it's just chaos. And that's how a lot of real estate agents run their business. It's very chaotic. All right. But what we want to do is just solve the problem to where you are closing an average of 2 deals a month. All right. And this is how we close that gap. But just imagine, we didn't have to get up every day and go, I know I need to do something to make money in real estate. I'm not really sure what that is. Or you're just waiting for a text to come through, an email to come through, your phone to ring that kind of directs your day. Okay, this person needs me. I need to go this direction. All right. And then a lot of the time, if we are kind of flying by the seat of our pants like that, we're neglecting the most crucial things. All right. So if you don't have your specialization or your niche selected, you're well behind the eight ball on this call. And, it took Steph and I just spoke for the first time this morning. She's got hers. We're moving on. All right. So that's where you need to be. And we're going to be talking about today how to start marketing your niche. You've seen me just get further and further into the development of this. It all is congruent. We had the book that we were covering, I think, 2 weeks ago, Wealthy and Well Known. Great book to get. It's an easy read. You can really digest that book in about 3-4 hours. So it's a one sit type deal. And it really puts things into perspective for you. And it's not a real estate book. It's just like, hey, whatever sales industry you're in, whatever company you run, if you provide a product or a service, you need to have a brand. You need to have a well-established brand. Okay. So we're going to talk about steps to take to start marketing that brand, start establishing that brand top of mind in and around your geographical area. So it's highly, I think, advised for you to start in your own backyard. One of the questions I asked Stephanie this morning was, do you plan to stay in Hayden? Because if you said, no, we really want to live in Coleman, or I really want to move back to Walker County where I was raised, then I would say, all right, well, we need to switch gears. So you need to start establishing your brand in Walker County or Jasper or wherever that may have been, because that's where you're going to finish your career. All right. You're going to retire as an agent in Jasper, Alabama. She's like, nope, never leaving Hayden. All right, there we go. So you need to decide, is your backyard, is there a permanent aspect to that, or are you planning on going somewhere else? I think Alex in Fultondale probably may want to stay there a long time. Probably doubt it. So where does he want to be? Easy shift, the closest, probably best market near him would be Gardendale. So you need to make that decision. Now, I want to let you guys know after this call, I'm running to the Bessemer, Jefferson County, DMV over there in Bessemer and getting my new personalized tag, which reads Lake Homes. Lake Homes. It's LKHOMZ. And I use ChatGPT to help me come up with that. So going to get that. You've seen me change my Facebook cover photo. Hopefully you've seen me like email signatures, my footers and stuff on my YouTube channel. I mean, everything is suggesting that I'm a lake home specialist. And for those who don't know, it has recently translated into 2 Lake Martin referrals. And Lake Martin's not my primary focus. Smith Lake is. But I'll sell a $1 million home on Lake Martin all day long. So that's the power of it. So you want the leads to call you, so you can stop chasing business and have the business start chasing you. If you just stop and thought about that for a second, you're like, man, does that sound good or what? Like, I still want you to be proactive. I still want you to prospect, but I want you to kill yourself doing it. You need to follow up. You need to shock people with your follow up. You need to have like excellent communication skills and, work on being in consistent communication with people and people you don't know. We constantly want to grow our audience, right? I don't know. That's how far I wanted to mention that because that's how far I'm taking it, changing my license plate up and having that even in conjunction with my brand. So, step one, obviously, pick your niche and own it. Like I said, if you haven't done that, you're behind the eight ball. The good news about that is there's so much stuff out there. There's so many different segments of the real estate marketplace. I mean, you can be a luxury agent, new construction agent, first time home buyer specialist, golf course, lake. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Acreage. I saw an agent the other day that was focusing on like ranches, like horse ranches and farm properties. So, and that's their wheelhouse. Like, they love nothing better than to, get on a side by side and show somebody 100 acres. The last 2 days, I spent both days, I started about 9 a.m. and ended about 4 p.m. So worked full day Saturday and Sunday. Yesterday, I was with one new home builder on Smith Lake from like 9:30 to 3:45 yesterday, and it didn't feel like work. We were started marketing an Airbnb that he runs. Then we went to a new build site by boat and we were just doing marketing all the time and talking and building relationship and was out on the water and I was like, man, he was like, I'm sorry to take up so much of your time today. I was like, man, this did not feel like work. I love what I do, love where I do it. And it's just a big blessing for me. He's like, oh, cool. So is that your reality? I know the likely reality of most real estate agents, other than Chris, because Chris is very consistent with his sales and his business, but it's likely frustration. Okay. And then Chris might be experiencing frustration with his niche because it ain't his niche. So if you're experiencing frustration with what you're doing and what you've selected, it's not it. All right. So this needs to become a passion project because passion, you have a love for what you do, who you do it with, who you do it for. It stops becoming a chore and it starts becoming a gift that actually pays you really, really well. And this is what I want for everybody on the call and everybody that watches the replay is to stop getting out of, I don't know, let's call it a rat race, whatever we want to call it. Stop getting out of this frustration
Frustration.
and pain, that we're feeling from day to day, week to week, because we haven't found our place in this industry. We're not where we're supposed to be. We're not in the right seat on the bus, right? So this is the power of it. All right. So what we need to do after we have defined our niche, and again, this may take a few kind of tries till you really find what you want to do. In prior calls, that's kind of what I've been encouraging you all to do. Take the playbook out of the very easy listen on Audible, which is the book Blue Fishing, which is incredible. It's like you just got to get out and try stuff, right? Because you could be thinking, oh, I'm going to be a FISBO specialist. But then you're like, these FISBOs, not for me. So I'm going to try new construction. So you may have to try a couple of things, but the point is to get started. But once you do that, then it's time to build a brand and build a brand that looks bigger than you are right now. Okay. I've got people, that are texting me going, hey, I heard you're a Lake Martin expert. Never have I ever said that. But, if you look at my content, you might think otherwise. And that's the point. Okay. We want to establish ourselves, establish our brand. And, it's a little bit of fake it till you make it, to be honest with you. But you're going to be fine as long as you're doing the work, right? As long as you're studying the MLS, you're previewing homes, you are reading and studying like reports from the Alabama Center for Real Estate, which I think it's about as hyper local as as Acre gets. Alabama Center for Real Estate is by county. So, you can study those trends. It's fascinating to see because they do 3 and 5 year trends on those. So it's kind of fascinating to see, those trends. And, that's going to build your confidence. because you're not going to be afraid of getting a question of how's the market anymore because you're going to know whether you're in a buyer's market or a seller's market or an equilibrium market. You're going to know what's on the market. If somebody says, hey, I want to get where can I find the least expensive new construction home in Hayden, Alabama? I don't even know if there are any, but if there are, we may have to go to Warrior. Well, you're going to have to go to Warrior, and here's the community where you're going to find that. You're going to know that kind of stuff. If you're at the beach, I can remember back to the days when I sold some condos, and you know, it was a scary thing because the buyers could look out the window and see the building next door, and they would go, "What's going on over there?" And I would go, "I don't know. Please don't ask me about any. I only know about this unit I'm showing right now. I can tell you the square footage. I can tell you when the building was built. I can tell you how many units are here. Please don't look anywhere else. Don't look out the dang window because they'll always do that. What are those condos going for over there?" If you don't know the answer to that question, you're going to lose the confidence of your buyer because likely the relationship's not built yet, especially if you got the lead from Zillow or Realtor.com or from Google pay per click or wherever. You're kind of working on that relationship. And what we've been talking about too on a lot of these prior calls is that trust equals capacity. All right. So we need people to trust us, and we start building that trust online. And then when online converts into an appointment, then we can easily screw up the trust we built prior through our brand by not having market knowledge. You see that? So, this is nothing more. What I'm suggesting is nothing more than treating your business like a business. That's it. Treating your business like a business. That's all we're talking about. And the first part is to understand that you're a business owner. And that mindset shift really starts to take hold and really changes the way you look at everything. Because most real estate agents, I think, look at themselves not as independent contractors, small business owners, but as agents that are tied to a brokerage or even have the employee mindset. And I mean, these brokerages, all they do is hold our licenses. Okay. They store our files, they hold our licenses, they try to keep our noses clean. That's it. Other than that, we're out here on our own, representing ourselves. Okay. And building our brands. If you want to ask a question, you can do so in the chat. Just put it in the chat and I'll read it for everybody. So the first thing I think we need to start off with is kind of a logo and a branding strategy. All right. So we need to start developing our logo. If you are, starting to get pretty proficient with Chat GPT, you can try that. I've actually used Chat GPT to start designing some of my designs that I sell through the Smith Lake store, but it's very hit and miss. So I would still recommend, trying to find somebody who's a go-to on Fiverr or Upwork or one of those sites where you can just kind of rent a graphic designer per project. So that would be a great place to start. But, we need consistency of colors. I don't think I have posted anything about my new signs, but I've got signs, directionals, everything's the same color. The colors are similar from my newsletter to my Facebook page. So it's like blues, it's a couple shades of blue, and there's some turquoise in there. And that's my color. All right. So we need to start working on that. That's something we can start working on this week to start developing kind of the look of your brand, right? The look of your brand. I asked ChatGPT about this. It's funny. I was like, what should agents do to start improving their brand in the marketplace? And here's what ChatGPT said. Hold on. Stop using headshots from 2014. So how many agents that their headshot does not look like them? Authenticity is a big part of this, right? And that's why when you pick a brand, pick a niche, pick a specialty that speaks to your soul, that just kind of fills your cup, it just translates like, oh, this person, like, Stephanie loves Hayden. Like she loves it here. That makes me confident about moving here or putting down roots here because she loves it so much. I'm probably gonna love it so much, but it's just fun to work with people that enjoy what they're doing. All right. So if you need an updated photo, get one. All right. If you don't have a website, I noticed that Chris stepped away from the brokerage website, which is Real Geeks, and launched Market Leader. That's a big step, and that is, it's a good step. I think everybody needs to have either. So if you that's big money, I think Chris is spending. We don't need to get into that. But through Real Geeks, you can develop a landing page. So you at least need a landing page, okay? And if your broker, I don't know what exit uses, and that's who Stephanie's with. I don't know what they use for their website. It's probably Inside Real Estate, but there's probably something that she can use there. At the very least, you can build a landing page for free using WordPress. So you can just go to Google and say, hey, Google, I'm a real estate agent. I need to build a free landing page. What are my options? And it'll tell you. Okay, so you need to have something that directs people back to an online presence that is congruent, looks extremely, doesn't have to be identical, but extremely similar. Because these different platforms have different interfaces and designs and the way that they're set up. So, but it needs to be very, very similar. So no matter where people are experiencing your content, the same messaging is there, the same branding's there. And what I loved about the book, Wealthy and Well Known, just to kind of jump back to that for a second, is that this can be a gradual thing. I think, most of you probably haven't been paying attention to this, but my branding strategy is continually evolving. So I don't like what I kind of settled on in the beginning is not where I'm at now. It's vastly different. So it's on the same path. It has a Lake Holmes focus, but how I want to be identified in that Lake Home market has been changing. The wording I've been using, titles, taglines, things like that have been evolving. So I loved getting that reinforcement because I just always change. I just always like, oh, this is a better way to do it. And I love getting that reinforcement from the book that that's okay. Eventually, you're going to get to some place where it's just like full speed ahead. Everything is how you want it. Everything. I've got signs in my office, Lake Home sale signs in my office that are vastly different from the ones I just had made. I'm still going to use them. I'm going to put them on something. I'll still get some use out of them. And they still are very similar to my final design, but I really feel like I've reached a final design there. And it's taken me some time to kind of come to that realization of what I wanted them to look like and a lot of, trial and error. The website landing page is really going to it should be identifying you as an authority in your space. Your space is your niche. Your space is your specialization. However you want to phrase that. I think niche is a little bit simpler, all right? And it needs to be super specific in this landing page or your homepage on your website. So if Chris launches this market leader site, if it doesn't talk about, either Alabaster or working with real estate investors, he's just going to continue to, have the results he's having. And they're pretty good results. But gosh, if you could double or triple your business, wouldn't that be worth the time and the effort to do so? So we want to identify ourselves as an authority in this space. We're the new construction specialist in Greater Birmingham, or we are the hyper local agent in Hayden, Alabama. All right. The other part of the website and or landing page strategy. And listen, we can do a landing page training for our brokerage members on Real Geeks if you want. Super easy. We can do it via Zoom. Whatever you guys want to do, just let me know. But the other part of this is to develop a search engine optimization strategy. Okay. So we want to be found, so like I would want to have keywords on my website that has something to do, keywords and keyword phrases that has something to do with Smith Lake. All right. Or if I'm in Ross Bridge, it's like, all right, Ross Bridge golf course properties. And those, this sounds crazy, but Google crawls blogs and web pages and landing pages, crawls the content on these pages, looking for consistency, looking for keywords and keyword phrases that match what people are going into Google and typing in. All right. And so if you don't have that online presence, if you don't have that web page or that website set up, that landing page or that website set up, you're missing out on business. Okay. And that's something we can go. I mean, by the end of this week, there's no reason why you couldn't have a logo, your brand colors decided on, and your tagline, and start customizing your social media and your online platforms so that they look really, really similar. And they have that same content, that same messaging, that same branding throughout. So that will take us right into step 3 of this process, which is those primary platforms that you use, right? So what I would say is that if you're not super consistent at this point on social media, that we just need to keep that as laser focused as possible. So I would just focus on Facebook and Instagram, since you can post on Instagram and syndicate it to Facebook. Let's just start there. You need to establish consistency first before you move on to YouTube and to TikTok. Okay. One thing that I would advise that you do is to set up a Facebook page. Probably, I don't know, I haven't said this in a long time, but since Stephanie's on it, I think it's really pertinent to mention it that I, business pages aren't worth the work. They're not worth having, they're not worth owning, they are not worth anything. Okay. Especially after Facebook introduced the digital creator account. So you can turn your personal Facebook page into a business page, and that's how it's supposed to be. Okay. That's how it's supposed to be. You just need to keep it balanced, keep it real, keep it authentic. Let's get some pictures of you and the kids or the grandbabies or on vacation or cooking with your spouse. But a lot of it is real estate and about your niche, the space you occupy in this industry. All right. So I have a Smith Lake, Alabama Life Facebook page. I have a Smith Lake, Alabama Life YouTube channel. For what it's worth, I have like the biggest page I have right now is still one that's associated with my hometown in Fairhope. I've got over 20,000 people following that page, and I make on average $150 a month posted on it. Because
25,000.
I was 25,000.
25,000 I looked today.
Yeah, so I make anywhere from 100 to $200 a month from just posting stories and just sharing content from other people on that page. So Stephanie says, so do away with my Facebook business page and just use my personal page. So what I would do is rename your business page that you have now, Life in Hayden, Alabama Living, something like that. You can make it a little more fun, living the dream in Hayden, Alabama. I don't know, but Hayden, Alabama Living, let's keep it simple. I've got one I just set up for Ross Bridge. It's Ross Bridge Real Estate and Living. So you can do Hayden Real Estate and Living. So just rename it. And like the cover photo would be like a beautiful image that you either take yourself or that you get permission from somebody else to use that's not copyrighted, and put it on your header. I always encourage you to take the picture yourself, and you can use Canva to resize it and use the free version of Canva to resize it. And you're just going to post on there everything and anything that's pertinent to Hayden Real Estate and Living. And you're going to invite people to it, and people are going to encounter the content. They're going to like your content. Everybody that likes it, that's a new visitor, is somebody you can send an invitation to join that page. I was telling the story of Andrew Ironmonger, the real estate agent in Destin with LPT Realty, who has a very well-established YouTube channel and has been mentoring me a bunch, or has done so in the past. Last time I talked to him, it's been like 6 months ago, he was making about $2,000 from YouTube every single month, just because his videos are starting to, garner that many views that Google is, or YouTube, yeah, Google is making money off, running ads in conjunction with his content. So And he uses that 2 grand to pay for his virtual assistants that do all this editing and stuff. So he's zero basing that marketing expense, which is pretty dang impressive. And at some point, it'll go into this real estate team's profit account and be an income stream. So I'm doing, a few shares here and there on that Fairhope, Alabama living side and making, a couple $100 a month. And, that's useful. That's gas money. So there is a whole other side of this to where you can start, adding an income stream from your content. Hopefully that answered your question, Stephanie. If not, just keep drilling down. We'll get deeper into it.
I got a question.
Yeah.
So I actually like my niche. I like working with investors, and I like flipping homes, and we're trying to get these new builds off the ground. And I come to find myself when, clients don't turn away business. So if a traditional buyer comes, I'm still going to work with them, or a traditional seller, I'm still going to work with them and stuff like that. But I kind of, I guess, feel myself that I like not liking working with them because it's just, I don't know, it's not too difficult, but it's just too much involved with it. I guess I don't know if the right wordage I'm using.
It's time consuming.
Yeah, I go out for buyer, and we went out 3 weekends in a row, looked at 5 properties and everything, and they have a house to sell, but they don't need to sell that house to buy. And they're like, oh, well, we're just going to wait until we put our house on the market. And, don't get me wrong, I'm listing their house, but we're not going to list it until the beginning of the year. So now I'm like, okay, so I just wasted 3 weekends, going back and forth when I've asked them numerous times, hey, you sure we don't want to sell first? Are you sure you want to do this first? Oh, yeah, we want to hurry up and move. Okay. And now all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, we're going to fix the house up first. Like we're getting an inspection, a seller inspection, so we can check everything, and then we'll put the house on the market. So now it's just like, okay, I just wasted all this time when I could have used it for other clients, investors to go look at properties and stuff like that. Or it's just kind of getting a little bit frustrating, I guess you would say.
I just threw out a suggestion. I mean, you and I haven't talked. I don't know anything about what your current mindset is around the specialization you chose. I just know from experience. Like I had an agent, Roxanne. Remember, Roxanne used to be with us. She went to Real Broker to be closer to her house. And she called me that day. She goes, hey, you want an investor referral? And I was like, not really. And so we cackled about that. I ended up taking it, of course, but we just had a conversation how this investor is wearing her butt out. And she's like, I just can't. I got to get rid of him. You want him? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I just know that it comes with the territory working with investors that it just, you got to love it. Now, what I would say to you, Chris, is the knowledge you've learned from doing this. I mean, you've been like in real estate grad school, dude. I mean, you've got so much information that is going to be helpful to you no matter where your real estate career takes you. Because you could, every now and then you could do like a real estate investment or a flipping webinar or a workshop or something like that. But you could help people that are members of your sphere of influence. You could just remind people and say, like, every time they close on a house, go, all right, well, listen, when you start building up enough equity, I can help you put that to use if you want to flip a house or get into a rent and hold or vacation rental, whatever it is, and Stephanie's got a few rental properties. So that's valuable, super valuable information. Okay. So let's go to before you started talking. All right. I went to your Facebook page, started stalking you. Okay. Your header photo, Chris Mallory, real estate agent, Huntsville to the coast. That isn't even close to hyper local enough. All right. So you need to put like Birmingham real estate investor specialist. All right. It needs to be clearly defined. And I wouldn't even put buyers, sellers, and investors. I just put investor specialist, investment property specialist, Greater Birmingham investment property specialist, somewhere around that. In your intro, so right below there, you have husband and father helping families find their dream homes. Nope. No, it needs to go in there. Look at how I'm setting my stuff up as an example, or go to YouTube and go, listen, ChatGPT, YouTube, Google, tell me how to build a niche. Tell me how to define my investor niche in real estate. So you got to laser focus this down. And then if you're, so it's just an opposite. So if your regular like resale residential clients are driving you nuts, which is amazing to me because, that's like somebody telling me they want to be a school teacher. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to work with investors? Because I mean, it's a calling. But if you love what you do, man, you got to go with it. It's not for me. And that's the beautiful thing. It's for you. It's not for me. This is your life, your career. But if if you have enough just traditional resale clients, and you probably will with market leader. So it's kind of I'm questioning a little bit that investment unless you're starting to get in that team building mode. So if you want to start generating leads for them, you need to bring somebody on and get with Blake on that. Like, listen to everything he says about that because we've had so many folks, try to do this. And I mean, you experienced it firsthand on the team you were on prior. So just do it right. Start it right. Okay. All right. Vanessa. Oh, sorry, Alex. Should we charge a fee for showing to people that went under contract with me and they back out? They want to see more homes. I don't think so. I think once you get to like a Justin Dyer or a Mary Bell or a Ryan Serhant level, a lot of those agents charge like retainers. And they're like, all right, for some reason, if I spend, because they know, listen to this. This is kind of wild, and we'll wrap this up, pick it back up next week. But they know how much they're worth an hour. So I was listening to a podcast this morning, and that professional, $300 an hour. That was her worth. And so if she's going to spend 20 hours with people trying to help them buy or sell, and they switch gears like Chris's clients did on them, or how yours have done you recently, Alex, they're going to get charged out of that retainer. They decide not to buy. That's what the retainer's there for. All right. So that's kind of wild, right? That you can build up to that level, but it's absolutely true. All right. Well, this is where I'm going to leave it with y'all today. If you have questions, just go to my Calendly link and schedule some one-on-one time. We can move from there. Chris, you know what you need to do. You need to brand yourself, brand your website, brand your Facebook page. Let everybody know you are a real estate investor specialist. But the most important thing about that is that it's not going to cost you business. It's going to increase your business. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for the participation today. I really enjoyed it. Y'all have a great day and a great week.